Welcome, welcome, deep divers. Are you ready to venture way beyond the familiar?
I hope so.
Because today, we're not just taking a deep dive. We're launching into a vision of the universe so utterly captivating, so fundamentally different from what you've probably been taught, it might just make you question, well, everything. The very fabric of reality.
Yeah, forget what you think you know about stars, planets, even Earth itself. We're diving into this astonishing proposition. What if the foundational truths we've cherished for centuries are actually just an elaborate illusion?
It's a huge question, and it's an invitation, really, to journey beyond the accepted boundaries of conventional thought.
Absolutely. Today, our source material is F. Amadeo Giannini's 1959 book, Worlds Beyond the Poles. A truly remarkable piece.
It really is. And as always, our mission here on the Deep Dive is to unearth the most important, the most surprising, and often the totally overlooked insights from your sources.
And let's be super clear up front. This is an open-minded exploration of Giannini's vision, just as he presented it. We're not here to judge. We're not here to debunk. We're just here to understand, to present, and honestly, to be a little bit awestruck by a perspective that challenges pretty much everything.
Totally. And to get into a work like Worlds Beyond the Poles, you really have to understand the author, F. Amadeo Giannini. He wasn't just some lone eccentric, right? He saw himself as a dreamer, a rebel, a visionary.
He definitely places himself in that grand tradition of people who dared to challenge the status quo. And history is just littered with them, isn't it?
Oh, completely. People who were initially dismissed, ridiculed even, for ideas that, later revolutionized the world.
Think about Socrates questioning everything, pushing boundaries, only to be condemned for it. Or Christus Giannini specifically mentions him denounced as mad for his teachings.
Right. Or, fast forward a bit, Robert Fulton. His idea of a steam-powered boat. People thought it was an insane idea. How could a boat move without sails?
Exactly. And Benjamin Franklin, flying a kite in the thunderstorm, trying to harness lightning. They practically called him insane.
And then there's Thomas Edison with his insane notion of trapping electricity in a little glass bulb to make light. Imagine explaining that to someone using gas lamps.
Or George Westinghouse. His idea of stopping a whole train with air. Air brakes. It must have sounded completely ludicrous.
It's wild when you think back. And Louis Pasteur, he wasn't even a medical doctor, but he made these huge life-saving advancements while the established medical folks were busy calling his work ridiculous.
He was an outsider, challenging deeply held but maybe flawed practices. And then you've got Alexander Graham Bell, the telephone guy. His eccentricity gave us voices over wires.
Samuel Morse, too. The mad idea that messages could zip around the world without a voice, just dots and dashes, telegraphy.
And the big one, the Wright's Folly, as people called it, right before Orville and Wilbur flew that first crewed airplane over Kitty Hawk.
So Giannini sees all these people as having presented unwelcome findings that upset centuries of teachings. They were called mad, crackpots. And he clearly felt he was in that same lineage, facing that same kind of resistance for his radical claims.
It really does highlight something about human nature, doesn't it? We cling to our established beliefs, even if they're, like Giannini says, incomplete and faulty.
Because they're ours.
Yeah, they have to be cherished and protected. So when something really new, really unknown comes along that challenges our whole worldview, what happens?
People freak out a little.
Well, Giannini says the majority become automatized to throw against the new and unknown the oral quills of skepticism, cynicism, and ridicule.
Which basically means people instinctively react with doubt, scorn, ridicule. It's this pattern of disdain for new ideas we see all through history, but ironically, those very dreams are what ultimately built civilization.
It's fascinating how he frames it. His own work is another one of those magnificent obsessions, seen as madness at first, but maybe pushing the boundaries.
He emphasizes that being original, thinking beyond the accepted majority view, shouldn't disqualify someone, but it almost always leads to resistance, especially if it upsets centuries of teachings.
And that resistance isn't just intellectual, right? It's this deep human tendency to protect what's known, what's comfortable, even if that comfort is built on fanciful and fallacious traditions, as he puts it.
Okay, so with that backdrop, this inherent resistance to radical new ideas, let's dive into the core of Giannini's challenge. Part 1, the universe we thought we knew, a world of illusion. Because he fundamentally argues that the universe we all learned about, it's built on shaky ground, a foundation of sand.
He's directly targeting the Copernican concept, the model we all accept. Isolated planets, stars, including Earth, moving in these neat, mathematically prescribed orbits around the sun, a solar system.
Like a big celestial and terrestrial pinwheel. Very elegant, very clockwork.
But Giannini's critique is absolutely scathing. He argues this whole framework, the Copernican formula supported by Galilean mechanics, is built entirely upon an illusory premise.
So wait, he's not just tweaking the model. He's saying the foundation, Copernicus, Galileo, the physics we've used for centuries is just wrong. Illusory.
That's exactly it. He claims its laws only work for an artificial universe. And he says they're actually no longer required because of modern events and discoveries. He believes Galileo's laws were created simply to fortify the assumptive framework of Copernicus, not to describe reality.
They didn't account for the real natural laws, the ones he thinks he's uncovered.
Right. He says they had no consideration for then unknown natural law which governs the realistic universe. The laws were made to prop up the theory, not reflect the truth.
Okay, let's try the house analogy. Say you've spent your whole life in this amazing, detailed house. You know every corner. That's our Copernican model.
Right, meticulously mapped.
Then Giannini knocks on the door and says, hey, beautiful house, but it's built on quicksand. That's the illusory foundation. So no matter how fancy the rooms, how detailed the blueprint, if the base is wrong,
the whole thing's unstable. And all those complex laws about orbits, they're just clever ways to make the shaky house seem stable, to keep it from collapsing in on itself, conceptually.
And this conceptual quicksand, this flawed foundation, leads directly to what he calls the space myth.
Yeah, he's very strong on this. The idea of space as this vast, empty void between isolated planets and stars. He says it's a phantom, a myth.
Wow.
He argues it created identical barriers to northern and southern progress as the old Ptolemaic theory, the flat Earth idea, did for east-west travel before Columbus. It bred fear.
He literally says, how fearful has been the word space? That's powerful. This fear of the unknown void actually stopped us from really exploring what's beyond the perceived edges of our world.
We were conditioned to believe that beyond Earth was just terrifying emptiness, like sailors fearing falling off the edge.
But Giannini takes it even further. He says this illusion isn't just theoretical, it's baked into how we see. He calls it the deception of our own perception. The lens fallacy. And this is where it gets really, really wild.
Okay, buckle up. He claims the human eye lens itself inherently produces deceptive curvature.
Our own eye.
Our own eyes. This curvature makes things we look at appear disc-like, globular, and isolated. It's an inescapable error built into our biology.
Whoa, okay. But what about telescopes? Cameras? Don't they show us reality?
Ah, that's the kicker. According to Giannini, this inherent eye error is then amplified by technology. All photographic and telescopic lenses, because they're patterned after the optic lens, just reproduce and enlarge this inescapable error.
So that giant telescope on Mount Palomar.
He calls it the white elephant of Mount Palomar. He says it's competent to magnify all the illusions of the centuries. It's not seeing more reality, it's just magnifying the error our eyes already introduce, making the illusion bigger and clearer.
Okay, my mind is officially bending, and he thinks astronomers are sort of pre-programmed to see this.
Pretty much. He argues that astronomers, dominated by the mathematical prescription of celestial mechanics, are primed to see globes and spheres. They expect to see them.
So they look through these flawed lenses expecting spheres.
And voila, spheres appear. Their conceptual enlargement of the faulty image solidifies the illusion. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of perception. The observer's expectation, combined with the faulty instrument, creates the reality they see.
Okay, let's get into some of his examples of this lens fallacy, because they are something else. Stars and planets, what we think are distant, isolated bodies.
Nope. He says they're actually luminous and deceptively globular and isolated areas of the universal skylight, just seen through distorting lenses.
The universal skylight. So the sky itself is glowing and stars are just bright spots in it.
Exactly. And crucially, he says these areas are as much a continuance of this Earth area as the various countries of the Earth are physically connected. The sky is continuous, connected to us, and these stars are part of that continuous sky, just made to look like separate points of light by our flawed vision.
It's like looking at a bright cloud far away, and your lens makes it look like a perfect solid ball.
That's the kind of distortion he's suggesting. And he extends this to features on the Moon and Mars, those famous canyons.
Yeah, like Valles Marineris on Mars.
Giannini claims they're not actual terrain, not canyons carved into land. He says they are grotesque creations of light distortion and magnification of sky gas movement within those luminous sky areas.
So Not rock formations, but tricks of light and gas in the sky, magnified.
Yes. Even the most powerful telescopes just magnify all the illusions of the centuries by showing these distortions more clearly. You're not seeing surface features, you're seeing light effects and gas movements filtered through a flawed lens system, making them look like canyons. It's like seeing heat haze shimmer over a road, but magnified and misinterpreted as solid features.
Okay, this next one, flying saucers, UFOs. He has an explanation for those too.
He does, and it's pretty grounded.
Ironically,
He suggests they are illusions, often produced just by looking at ordinary airplane lights.
Airplane lights, how?
Observing them through translucent window glass, or when affected by haze, fog, or just the angle of observation. These things can distort the light, creating the appearance of a luminous disk moving through the night sky.
And because a saucer is a disc, boom, flying saucer illusion.
Exactly. He thinks it's not alien craft, it's often just distorted familiar lights. Our minds, perhaps primed by stories or expectations, interpret the distorted light as something extraordinary.
Makes you rethink a lot of those fuzzy photos and videos, doesn't it? It shows how much observation conditions can affect what we think we see.
And he doesn't stop there. Iconic nebulae like the Horse's Head or the ones in Cygnus, those beautiful cosmic clouds.
Yeah, the stellar nurseries, right?
According to Giannini, they are nothing more than skylight distortions or gaseous formations created by the interplay of sky gases and lens magnification, but in terrestrial sky areas.
Wait, terrestrial, like in our sky, not deep space.
That's what he claims. He mentioned they've even been photographed over places like White Sands, New Mexico. For him, this proves they aren't unique objects millions of light years away. They're phenomena that can occur within any luminous skylight, including Earth's immediate celestial neighborhood.
So those breathtaking Hubble images, they might just be local atmospheric effects, magnified and distorted.
From Giannini's perspective, yes. It completely reframes deep sky astronomy. They aren't distant galaxies or nebulae, but effects within the continuous luminous sky that envelops everything.
Wow, okay, this is a lot to take in. Which brings us perfectly to part 2, unveiling the true universe, worlds beyond the poles.
Because if everything we just discussed holds true flawed perception, illusory models, then the real universe must be radically different.
And Giannini's central, absolutely mind-blowing claim is this: the universe is not a collection of isolated globes floating in a void.
No. Instead, he says it's a continuous, physically connected entity made of land, water, oxygen, and vegetation, where human and other forms of animal life abound.
Hold on, continuous, physically connected, so Mars isn't a separate planet millions of miles away. It's just more land, like finding a new continent.
Essentially, yes. Connected to Earth, with its own life, potentially. It's a staggering idea. And the most striking part of this continuity, he says, is the endless land extending beyond the pole point, both north and south.
Endless land beyond the poles.
Land that was unknown to the theorists of 1543 when Copernicus was formulating his ideas. It's simply more of the same continuous universe. Not a void, not an edge, just more land, water, atmosphere.
Let's use that house analogy again. So it's like your house has secret rooms you never knew existed, beyond what you thought were the outside walls.
Perfect. Jeannie's saying Earth isn't a lonely sphere in a huge, empty cosmic backyard. It's just one part of a vast, sprawling, continuous estate that stretches out indefinitely.
So if you go past the North Pole or the South Pole, you don't fall off or fly into space.
You just keep going. Onto more land, more water, under the same continuous sky. The poles are just imaginary lines we drew on a map based on a flawed globe concept.
And the truly earth-shattering part for Giannini is that he claims there's conclusive evidence for this. Evidence provided by a very credible source. Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
Yes, Admiral Bird, USN. A decorated American naval officer, Medal of Honor recipient, famed explorer known for his pioneering flights over both poles. A household name in exploration history.
So linking his theory to Byrd's actual expeditions, that gives it a certain weight, doesn't it? It's not just abstract theorizing.
Exactly. Giannini points to Byrd's 1928 South Pole penetration as key evidence. On December 12, 1928, Byrd's team flew beyond the South Pole point in the southerly direction and discovered land extending much farther than theory allowed.
How much further?
Giannini says they discovered that land extended at least 5,000 miles beyond the original mathematized southern end of the Earth. This, for Giannini, was direct proof of continuity, where theory demanded an icy end.
5,000 miles. That's huge. And he says that was just the limit of what they could measure then.
Right, the maximum possible through triangulation at the time. And critically, he notes that later expeditions went into that 5,000-mile extent, but its end has not yet been reached. It just keeps going.
So, real expeditions finding land where none should be. And then there was a North Pole flight in 1947.
Yes, February 1947. Byrd flew for 7 hours over land extending beyond the northern geographic center, or mathematically prescribed northern end of the Earth.
7 hours over land beyond the North Pole.
According to Giannini, yes. This flight confirmed that there is no northern physical end to the Earth. And what did they supposedly find there? Not just ice.
What then?
Land, vegetation, and life. Mountains, coal, ores. He even mentions penguins and whales thriving in the Antarctic, which contradicts the whole eternal darkness and ice idea we associate with the poles.
It's like discovering Narnia beyond the wardrobe, but it's just more Earth. It completely redraws the map, doesn't it? From a finite ball to endless territory.
It really does. He points out the contradiction. Established theory needed the poles to be icy to explain seasons on a globe model. This necessity precluded the very land and life Byrd apparently found. Byrd's findings, in Giannini's view, revealed the supposed lands of eternal darkness were just unknown parts of our vibrant world.
So, if the universe is physically continuous like this, how do we travel to, say, Mars or these other celestial areas? Giannini's answer is revolutionary. No spaceships needed.
Right. He argues that future progress beyond the imaginary North Pole and South Pole points must and will lead into real land areas of the universe appearing up or out from our present terrestrial position.
Appearing up. How does that work if it's continuous land?
He clarifies that movement up is always relative. Apparent up points in the sky are reached simply by moving straight ahead across the continuous surface. He compares it to Columbus sailing west to reach the east. You just keep going forward.
You cross those imaginary pole boundaries, and you eventually reach areas that appear to be up in the sky from our perspective, but you got there by traveling horizontally.
Exactly. And he stresses how easy this travel could be. Getting to Mars, Saturn, named area of the celestial, is possible on the same physical level as this Earth.
How?
Using means now at hand, like airplanes, ocean steamers, just like traveling from New York to Chicago.
Wait, fly an airplane to Mars? Seriously, that's mind-bogglingly simple compared to rocket science.
It implies these celestial areas aren't distant worlds separated by vacuum, but just further territories on our continuous plane. It's a shift from thinking vertical ascent to horizontal exploration.
He uses that fantastic wire fence analogy, right?
Yeah, it's great. He likens the man-made northern and southern barriers to the celestial, those imaginary poles, to wire fence barriers erected to isolate a ranch area from its neighboring ranch.
It makes exploration sound as simple as hopping the fence to visit your neighbor.
It completely reframes it. And this, he says, is why the whole concept of spaceships is fundamentally flawed.
Because you don't need to shoot up out of Earth's atmosphere.
Exactly. That need only exist if you believe Earth is an isolated globe. But if Byrd's discoveries are true, and the universe is continuous,
then modern discoveries negate the necessity to attempt such journeys. Why build a rocket to escape a ball when you can just walk or fly across an endless plane?
Precisely. The idea of up and down is just a trick of perspective from the globular concept. The real journey, he insists, is always on a direct line, horizontally, across continuous land.
Just walking or flying to other planets, that totally demolishes conventional sci-fi. It flips the whole script on space exploration. Okay, deep divers, if this deep dive is blowing your mind as much as it's blowing ours, and let's be real, it's pretty wild, then you know what to do.
Smash that like button.
Hit subscribe. And definitely consider joining our Deep Dive memberships. Your support is what helps us keep unearthing these incredible, sometimes paradigm-shattering ideas and bringing you more awe-inspiring content.
Because trust us, there's always more to explore. And we are definitely not done yet with Giannini.
Not even close. Because he also offers a completely revolutionary explanation for day, night, and seasons. He calls it the universe's magnetic respiration.
Get ready for another conceptual leap. He proposes that Earth and all other connected land areas of the universe whole do not rotate on an axis, and they don't orbit the sun in a circle.
No spinning Earth, no orbit. My brain is definitely doing some undulations right now trying to grasp that. How does that work? How do we get day and night?
Instead of rotation and orbit, he says the entire universe engages in a magnetic respiration, or a continuous undulation, a wave-like movement.
Undulation, like breathing.
Sort of. He describes it as the unfailing manner in which all creative energy must move, a wave. All the connected land areas are constantly undulating, expanding and contracting, rising and falling toward and away from the sun.
And the sun itself.
The sun, he says, would be moving in its unchanging course along the entire universe structure. Imagine a really long, slow wave on an ocean. Earth and all other land are part of that wave. As the wave crests and troughs,
Our position relative to the sun changes.
exactly, creating the illusion of movement around the sun, when really we're just moving with the universal wave toward and away from the sun's path.
Okay, so how does that create a 24-hour day?
He describes a daily lung expansion. Lasts about 12 hours. Earth moves toward the sun, reaching its maximum daily expansion around noon. That puts us at a space location where the sun would apparently be directly overhead.
And then?
Then comes the Earth breath contraction. For the next 12 hours, we move away from the sun, returning to our lowest point in space relative to the sun's path at midnight.
So the whole universal plane is breathing in and out relative to the sun, and that gives us day and night without spinning.
That's his model, a truly unique way to explain it. It's the undulation, not rotation.
And seasons, how does that work without an orbit or axial tilt?
He attributes seasons to the sun's yearly course as it moves over the undulating universe. When the sun's path brings it closer to a perpendicular relation with a specific undulating area more directly overhead its crest, perhaps that area experiences summer.
And as the sun moves on along its course, further away from being perpendicular,
It becomes winter for that area. The undulation itself, combined with the sun's steady movement along its own path across the vastness of the universe, causes our relative proximity to the sun to change throughout the year. That creates seasonal shifts.
all within this non-rotating, undulating system. It's elegant in a very strange way. And does this explain the weirdness at the poles? The 6 months of daylight and 6 months of darkness?
It does, according to him. The frigid zones, the polar areas, they undulate minimally. They reach the lowest possible space point in this universal breadth.
Less up and down movement.
Right. That minimal undulation combined with the sun's changing yearly course relative to them result in those long periods of 6 months of darkness, followed by 6 months of daylight. Their position on the undulating plane means they experience these extremes as the sun's path shifts relative to them over the year.
It's definitely an alternative explanation for phenomena we usually just attribute to axial tilt. And it allows the universe to stay connected, right? Every part undulating together without needing to be separate globes.
Exactly. Which leads him to talk about the unseen reality, what lies beneath the universal sky. He keeps coming back to this idea of a luminous outer sky surface covering the entire universe.
And its glow comes from
Cosmic ray contact with gaseous sky elements. But the crucial point is that this sky provides impenetrable luminosity to our lenses. It's like a cosmic curtain our instruments can't see through.
So that beautiful night sky isn't empty space punctuated by stars. It's a dense, luminous veil.
That's the idea. And beneath this impenetrable glowing veil, Giannini asserts there is realistic land, vegetation, and other life identical to Earth's.
But we can't see it because the light itself blocks the view. Our telescopes, our cameras, they just capture the bright skylight, not the land hidden underneath.
Correct. The light is the barrier, which is why we perceive space and isolated bodies. We're seeing the luminous surface, not what's behind it.
He connects this directly to a chapter title in his book, doesn't he? On Earth as it is in heaven. He means that literally.
Completely literally, he states, every celestial mile of that production known as the universe is as realistic as this Earth area is. That's profound.
It means all the features we know on Earth, plains, mountains, oceans, rivers, lakes, they exist everywhere across this continuous celestial terrain, just hidden by the skylight.
That's his claim. So when you look up, you're not seeing emptiness and distant globes. You're seeing a brilliantly lit veil hiding more land, more life, more of everything we know, continuous with us.
Wow, and this loops back to the lens fallacy again, doesn't it?
Perfectly. Giannini argues that while our lenses give us these illusions, the brain of man was meant to be the formidable agent to check and correct the illusions.
But we don't use our brains that way.
He laments that man isolates the brain and delegates its duties to the lens. It doesn't work. We rely on the faulty tools, believe the faulty results, instead of using our own critical thinking and sensory correction.
It suggests our whole scientific approach might be misdirected, trusting instruments over intuition and reason, leading us deeper into illusion instead of towards the continuous reality he describes.
A misplaced reliance, leading us to believe in phantoms rather than the potentially much more amazing interconnected truth.
Which brings us smoothly into part 3. Implications, challenges, and a glimpse of the future. Because Giannini clearly had a massive uphill battle trying to get anyone to listen to these ideas.
Oh, definitely. He talks about his lonely pilgrimage, his ardent search across the U.S. for just 10 open-minded men of science. He implies they were incredibly hard to find.
Imagine dedicating your life to this radical vision and just hitting wall after wall.
He shares some poignant stories, appealing to millionaires for funding. Denied. His ideas were just too far out. He met Dr. Edwin E. Slauson, Director of Science Service, who listened patiently but basically told him, "You won't find 10 open-minded scientists in the whole country." Tough words.
Ouch.
And he met with Dr. Robert Millikan, the Nobel laureate president of Caltech. Yeah, Millikan showed interest but offered no real help, essentially saying, "It's your work, Giannini, only you can give it. Words can't confirm you, words can't deny you." Kind of a polite brush-off, maybe. It highlights the inertia in established science.
It sounds incredibly frustrating, and it wasn't just scientists resisting. He mentions religion, too.
Yes, William Cardinal O'Connell, Archbishop of Boston. Back in 1927, O'Connell publicly denounced the atheistic tendencies of abstruse mathematics and said, "Science is going around in circles."
And Giannini felt that perfectly described astrophysics, trapped in its own illusions.
Exactly. He called astronomy a science whose premise is eternal, though it would be the most illusory ever established. He felt it was productive of nothing realistic, because it was built on illusions, and desperately wanted to preserve the fable of isolated bodies.
So the establishment, in his eyes, became guardians of a comfortable illusion, not seekers of potentially uncomfortable truth.
He really saw it that way. He said, astronomy's framework is productive of nothing realistic because it is erected on the illusory, and that bigger telescopes just magnify the original illusion, retarding actual discovery.
He really nails that human tendency. Human nature demands that beliefs acquired must be cherished and protected, be they ever so incomplete and faulty. And that line, "My truth is the truth, so say we all." Wow, that cuts deep about dogma.
It does. But interestingly, despite all this resistance, Giannini didn't see his work as anti-spiritual. Quite the opposite. He saw it as fulfilling ancient prophecies.
Really? How so?
He links his discoveries directly to religious texts. He quotes Moses. "There are other worlds fashioned as this earth, and Christ, in my Father's house are many mansions. He who truly seeks will find."
So he believed his continuous universe was the many mansions. He was literally unveiling them.
That was his conviction. He saw his work as a literal fulfillment of these prophecies.
Yeah.
And he extends this interpretation even to the moon.
What about the moon? Is it one of the mansions?
He says the moon isn't an isolated body. It's a celestial sky area. Its light is a mix of the natural skylight and reflected solar light at varying angles.
And the surface, the craters, the features.
He argues that confusing surface is actually the land area of one of the many mansions hidden beneath the combined luminosity and the man in the moon. Just light shadings from this dual light source. It has no relation whatever to the celestial land underlying the luminosity.
So again, a perceived body is just a light effect in the continuous sky obscuring real land beneath.
Exactly. And because of all this, Giannini felt his new knowledge wasn't a loss, but a profound gain. He argued nothing could be taken away because nothing real had existed in the old model.
So understanding the sky is close, he says, a gaseous sky envelope of 10 miles, and that it has this marvelous life-saving purpose that brings value. Spiritual uplift.
Yes. Knowing stars are just part of this continuous protective skylight, rather than impossibly distant, isolated things. He felt that deepened our connection to the universe. It shifts the awe from terrifying, empty distance to profound appreciation for the continuous, living, protective fabric right above us.
A shift from emptiness to an embracing, interconnected reality. That's a beautiful way to put it.
And he leaves us with both a stark warning and this incredibly awe-inspiring vision. The warning, written in 1959, is chilling.
What did he say?
What a pity it would be if man were to destroy his kingdom on Earth before adequate preparation had been made for sanctuary on adjoining celestial territory.
Wow. That's clearly aimed at the nuclear threat, right? The atom bomb, a hydrogen bomb.
Absolutely. It was the height of the Cold War. He's suggesting that if we understood the true continuous nature of the universe, we'd realize there are literal other worlds right next door, accessible potential sanctuaries if we messed up Earth.
A sobering thought, then and now, but he also offers reassurance.
He does. He says, the so-called stars above will remain to all observation. The sky won't physically change. Only our understanding will evolve. Their true character will be known.
So the beauty remains, but our perception deepens. We see it not as distant points, but as part of this continuous whole.
Exactly. And he concludes with this grand vision. The universe is a magnificent unbroken structure. He calls it a skylight diamond fashioned by a master hand,
That's beautiful imagery.
where the lights speed limitless messages of hope and inspiration, serving as beacons and shrines. It's a truth, he says, stranger than the strangest fiction. A cosmos framed as a vast, interconnected, living entity designed with purpose, stretching endlessly.
And his final thought emphasizes there's always more to grasp, more to appreciate about this factual and endless universe that, in his view, contains human life throughout its vast length and width.
It's not about what's out there in some distant void, but what's right here, continuous with us, this incredible tapestry waiting to be fully understood, explored.
And there you have it, Deep Divers. A journey through F. Amadeo Giannini's Worlds Beyond the Poles, a book that really, truly asks us to rethink everything we thought we knew.
We've touched on the physical continuity of the universe, the idea of stars and planets as skylight phenomena, the shocking possibility of worlds beyond the poles, confirmed by explorers like Byrd.
It's a narrative that challenges our deepest perceptions, our most fundamental scientific models, and invites a completely different way of seeing the cosmos.
It definitely leaves you wondering, doesn't it? I mean, if the universe is this continuous undulating plane of land, water, life, connected just beyond our current sight, what frontiers could we discover just by traveling straight ahead?
The possibilities for exploration, for understanding life itself, they become almost limitless in a totally different way than we usually imagine.
Or maybe on a more personal level, if our perception has been so shaped by flawed lenses and theories for centuries, what other fables, what other illusions might we be living under in our everyday lives?
That's a deep thought to end on. What other truths are hidden just beneath the surface of our accepted reality, obscured by our biases or the tools we trust too much?
Exactly. The journey of discovery, whether outward or inward it seems, is truly endless. And sometimes the most profound shifts come from the places you least expect.
Well said. Thank you all for joining us on the Deep Dive today and for keeping an open mind as we explored these, frankly, mind-bending ideas.
Keep questioning. Keep seeking that deeper understanding.
And keep diving deep. We'll see you next time.